Hello, everybody. Welcome to Homeopathy. Today's our topic is syphilis. When I first read syphilis miasm from various sources, it actually surprised me how deep this miasm is. It's not just death or destruction, or it's not just soft chancre and ulcerations like we read in our books. It's much deeper and it's so beautiful because it is present in everybody. Everything that takes birth needs to die, and that is syphilis. So let's start the video from the basics. Now, syphilis miasm represents decaying, breakdown, contractions, destruction, and above all, death. So it's such a common thing, right? Everything needs to die. So psychosis builds everything, and syphilis destroys everything. It's like when psychosis is building everything and there is proliferation around the bones and everything, syphilis will cause ulcerations and destroy the bone. That is the basic, for a structure, you need bones. Now, coming to the first aspect of syphilis, the death and destruction. So, destruction, it is very common. It is very much required for everybody. In the society also, everything that you build once needs to be destroyed, right? The expansion is a good thing. And the building that are, destroyed with earthquake or anything, as natural accidents or human-made accidents is very much required for the balance in the society. Right, and that is why we get pandemics and everything, where the population is reducing after every 100 years we do get, right? So I think it is given in the news also, everywhere it is normal for destruction. So syphilis is much beyond just death and the darkness. Now it is also the inner darkness. Psychologically, in many books it is referred that everybody do have the unconscious part of the life, right? It is something everybody has it inside. We don't every time try to remove it outside or keep it outside, but it's just inside us, the self which we never show to anybody. So psychosis depends on the consciousness expansion, our perceptions, like we've discussed, the clairvoyance and everything. And syphilis represents the inner world, the inner darkness. It is similar to the black hole, right? The way you keep on exploring black hole, it is something, a big question mark for scientists also. So syphilis is something like that, right? It's not just darkness, it is the life, it is the process of death. And if you're not breaking down, or if you're not accepting the truth, then I think that is something different, something that is causing an effect in us. Now, coming to ego side is something like it needs to break down. Firstly, everything in our life is attached to so many things, so we should understand that this destructive syphilis force is not just stripping us away, but it's a very persistent one, where we should understand that the connections, it's not the connections what is important, the unconnected or unattached quality of one person is very important. The boundary is too restricting. We've discussed the boundaries in psychosis. Here the boundary is too tight, too restricting, and it's just so difficult. Sometimes you just hold it so much, and that is causing an effect. So you need to let go things. So breaking down or letting go is something a syphilis represents, and it's really important, right? And it also includes the control and chaos and control. Some people are struggling with syphilitic tendencies, often feel that they're losing control, they're losing memory, losing ways, like it is present in alumina, and also some keynotes of petroleum, where they forget the way. Also in arsenic, arsenic, mercury, they try to keep things stable under their control outside, that they get so much unstable, and they have this discomfort inside. So the more you try to control, the more harm it will cause, right? So it's like you should leave it. The biggest fears is this personal transformation, fears of insanity, losing control in the mind, that is always present in syphilis. So that will result in the further pathology. Now, coming to the purification, like we've discussed, sora is earth, psychosis is water, the water element, and syphilis is fire. So the fire element here represents the purification. In everywhere, the purification, most purified thing is something which is coming out of fire. Like in Mahabharata, Draupadi is born from fire, so she is the purest person ever. So that is given in Mahabharata, right? So fire here also thinks that it needs to be purified. Everything has to be clean. and purified. The energy of the fire in our body also needs to be purified. So when you think syphilis, why is syphilis compared to purification here, means it is associated to it, because nothing is entirely consumed, but it is purified and transformed. But these people have this fear of getting transformed, right? And also I have put a sudden accidents here. So it is, these people actually have a lot of accidents in their life, like sudden accidents. They suddenly get a brain tumor, they lie in beds for like months, they suddenly go into coma. Why? It's not consciously, they're not doing anything. They look really perfect outside, but they do have this unstable thoughts inside. So that is attracting it in unconscious way. Carl Jung has given that unconscious state, whatever you think in the unconscious mind behind your conscious thing, that will attract these accidents, that will attract these things. So these people are prone to have accidents, prone to have sudden life transformation things. So what is the conclusion for this miasm? Now I am giving a conclusion for syphilis because it's very simple, that you should embrace the death. You should embrace the thing what is given. You shouldn't think that how much ever you try to control it, that will harm you more. If you hold a knife for a longer time, it will obviously cut your hand, right? And it will cause bleeding. So that is syphilis, right? The amount you try to control things, that will cause you harm. And they have to embrace death. Death doesn't mean here the ending of the life. It's not suicide or homicide. It is the transformation. You should die before you die. It's given a beautiful quote. So that itself is syphilis. You should try transforming yourself before your death. So that is something. And that false self will be taken away when you're still alive. So that is the fullest expression of the origin of this miasm. And also, like, it is very much different from the two miasms, but I have discussed in the previous session of psychosis, where there is a pole, the other end is psychosis, and the complete opposite to the pole is syphilis, right? And the in between one is sora. For now we are discussing three miasms, but in later videos we'll be discussing of tubercular or cancer miasm too. So you need to understand how to differentiate each miasm. But coming to only syphilis, it is something, a transforming thing. It is very much important, and the only conclusion is embrace it. If you're not embracing, you will have to face the circumstances, right? Thank you. Stay tuned.